Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. Good day, my loves. How are you? He would do that. I hope you are well. I really do. Sending you peace of mind. Wait, he needed a photo op, y'all. He about to jump out the window though, so excuse my feline. But I do hope you guys are well. Go, Luck. Boy, move to the side. The dog outside, so he was trying to figure out a way to jump over the dog. I hope you guys are well. I really do. I am sending you peace of mind, healing for your heart, and a little bit of joy. Today is what? Wednesday? Today is Wednesday, the 29th, I believe. Let me just double check. No, it's the 30th. Okay, at 11:09 in the AM. And of course, I've been up since like 5. I done sat outside. I done drank my Dharma detox tea. I think I'm about to eat a piece of fruit, right? But I wanted to share something with you guys. So like being an empath and having compassion and just always generally wanting to help. This part of learning how to mind my own business and to not make every fight my fight has been one of the most difficult things that I've actually had to learn how to discern, right? And so yesterday, it's just a regular day for me. Nothing out of the ordinary happened. I'm trying to think, did anything weird? No, nothing happened. And so I was just sitting outside minding my business, and an altercation happened from my next door neighbor. And I wasn't moved to do anything because literally I had just watched a couple of videos, like, talking about the energies and planetary alignments, and, people are going to be showcasing their Aries energy. And so there was a showcase yesterday, and I watched it. And then I watched an elderly man get pushed down twice in the middle of an altercation with two young adults in their 20s, early 20s. And there was an instance, I watched it for like a few minutes. I turned my head, and when I turned back, he was on the ground. And then when I turned my head again, he was back on the ground again. And I was about to move, but I would definitely have to say, God was like, no. Spirit was like, no. For one, that's a family issue. For two, you don't know what's going on. You really don't. For three, there was already tension that I had expressed in the earlier video with one of the youngest daughters. Not tension, but her spirit was like, seriously. And I saw it yesterday. And so I had a conversation with the man. And I told him, your daughter is very angry. He says she's been like that since she was young. And I so can relate. And I told him that because I was that angry before. But I've never been I've never been that angry to retaliate that viciously towards my sister. However, me and my brother used to go at it viciously. We used to go at it. And so what I witnessed yesterday, it just tugged at me. And so after the altercation, it was like, okay, should I have done something? Should I have gotten in the middle of it? And so it was like guilt and remorse, like. And then I was talking to God, while it was going down, and so I was like, I'm not getting in the middle of that, because then the aggression would be turned on me, you know what I mean? And then it would be, well, you did this and you did that, so I didn't say or do anything, not even when they got to finishing and went in the house, and I felt horrible. I felt so bad for the younger girl because she got kicked in the face and couldn't even see it coming because she has depth perception problems with her eyes. So it was unfair, and it was unfair because the other one was the older sister. It should have never gotten that way, and the older sister initiated it. She did. The young one wasn't. She was arguing, but she wasn't trying to fight. She wasn't trying to hit, and she turned her back, and the oldest one just violently. It was like, you know how like you was like boom, and the whole back turned into a C. That's how it was. But I felt so bad, almost, because I'm like, I should have gotten in the middle of it. I should have stopped it. I should have said something. I should have did something. And normally I would have. I really would have. I would have made it my business. And the last time I did that, it turned on me because then everybody was mad at me because of how I handled the situation. And that was my own family that did that. Like, literally, it was my own family. The last time I stepped into a situation that was not mine, it was a family member of mine situation. And they turned on me. The family member and everybody else turned on me that was involved. It was the craziest thing. And I'm just remembering that right now. I didn't remember that yesterday, but yeah. And so afterwards, I sat outside and I had a conversation with God. And I was talking. I'm like, okay. I didn't say anything. I turned and looked at my sister. I didn't say nothing to her either. And I turned back and looked at them. I didn't say anything. And that was the first time, y'all, in my life I have ever just done that. There's never been a time where I've not seen violence and not have said something or done something. Especially, well, I generally do it when it's like someone who's helpless, like animals and children and the elderly and stuff like that. And in this situation, the younger sister was helpless, but I didn't think it would go like that. And so, but later on that night, I had come outside just to, breathe. And I talked to the man came outside taking out the trash, and he apologized for me having to see that, which he really didn't have to apologize, but I get why, because no one wants anybody to witness that type of strife in their household. And he said it was over something stupid. It shouldn't have happened. It just shouldn't have happened, period. But it shouldn't have. The girl got kicked square in her face, and she didn't even. I don't even think she had her glasses on. So it was really an unfair fight. It was so unfair. It was so unfair. It really was. And my heart tugged for the little mama. It really did. And that's what made me feel like, okay, could I have done something? Should I have done something? And then I thought about what they did to their own daddy. No, I wasn't getting in the middle of that, because then I would be putting myself in a situation where I would have to defend myself, because I am literally a stranger to them. And their daddy ain't a stranger to them, and he got knocked down twice. And I thought about it because he's an older man and he shouldn't even been involved in the middle of that. And that's what I told him. I mean, I get, they shouldn't even walk outside. But I felt so conflicted that when I got the opportunity to say something to him, I was just like, I saw it. And he was like, and I just listened. I just listened to him say whatever he said. But he said the strangest thing to me. He said, "I love you." And I didn't respond because it was just weird. And then he said it again. And I was like, "Love you too." I don't know if that's some sort of contract in the spirit world or not. But, I mean, I do care for the old man. And I do love him and care, about his well-being and stuff. But it was just strange because he'd never said it before. It was strange. But throughout the day, or throughout the rest of that evening, I kept having conversations about it to myself. And I felt conflicted, like I should have did something, like I should have stepped in the middle of it. But then again, I already have hindsight 2020. I didn't used to understand or understand why some people mind their business and why others don't. And I am just now learning how. Now, I do enter over and understand that at certain times, no, you just can't turn a blind eye, right? You can't turn a blind eye. But there are certain times, and I didn't turn a blind eye, but there was no reason for me to get up and endanger myself when clearly there was like a whole lot of anger, and I did not want none of that energy on me because I wasn't angry. And if I'd have got up and got in the middle of it, I would have had to get into that energy, and I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. I didn't want to. I mean, my heart broke yesterday just a little bit for the little young mama. And I had empathy and sympathy for the older one because she doesn't even know why she's so angry. And I'm just now realizing and discovering why I had all that anger and how it was manipulated energetically. And it's crazy because that's why I felt compelled to get up and do something because I understand where her anger is coming from. I really, really do. But she picked on a docile creature. She picked on a little girl with a heart, with a big heart. And I said it to her father. I said, she got a big heart. She got a good heart. He said, yes, she does. We've never talked about his kids like that. But I can tell the young one has a beautiful heart, and she just didn't deserve that. And I know what kind of damage that's going to do to her heart and to her emotional state to have to look in the mirror and see the effects of what her sister did to her. That's crazy. My brother and I were like 2 years apart, so we were like always competitive. We were always competing at a young age until I started growing girly parts and getting interested in boys. And by then he was trying to beat up the boys that were interested in his tomboy sister. 'Cause I was a tomboy. And I played with him all throughout our life. I mean, I was just like his big brother. I really was. Get down, Cash. Get down. Thank you. I was like his big brother until I started growing boobs and was interested in boys. He didn't quite get that or understand that. I wasn't his brother. Oh. But I say all that to say there's always a lesson in my confession. Is that every battle is not your war that you have to win. It really isn't. Some people have karmic cycles that they have to live and go through. And by intervening, you insert yourself and take on some of that karma, that energy. And I have lived in that energy pretty much through my childhood, adolescent, teenage years. Like, I didn't become aware of how angry I was and how volatile it could be and how dangerous it was until I moved to Georgia and I was like 14 years old. And the girl hit me first and she tried to sneak me. Let's be clear. But what I did to her was just in excess. And I will tell you, I did lose control. I didn't realize how much of loss of control that I didn't have until, and I was a little bitty something. I was like, I wasn't even 130 pounds soaking wet. And I was still the same height, 5'5". And I just moved to Georgia. And she was bothering my brother is why I beat her up. Well, she was bothering my brother, but I beat her up because she hit me. So, but the police came to my house that day. And my mom called me to the door. I don't even think we'd been in Georgia 6 months. And I fought throughout New York. Like, that was the thing I did. Boys, mainly boys, not too many girls, but mainly I fought boys. But when the police came to my door, they asked me what happened, and the police was just shocked that it was me. He said, "You didn't jump her with nobody?" I was like, "No." He said, "It was just you." I said, "Yeah." And he was like, "Normally we don't even, come into adolescent fights like this." He said, "But if you see the other girl's face," and to me it was cruel, but I think her mom did it to teach her a lesson because she passed the first lick, but her mom sent her to school the next day, and that was awful. That was awful. But it taught me a lesson. Cause when I got on the bus and when we got on the bus, she had on sunglasses and she took the sunglasses off, y'all, in her eye. I felt horrible. I felt so bad. I really did. I came home and told my mom, and I think that was the first day that I changed, like how I reacted to certain things. Now, you get me in the heat of the moment, after that moment, and but it took a lot more to get me to that point. And then I still was more conscious because I knew not to go so far. But I could have hurt that girl more than I did. I mean, because I flipped her over my back and I was literally using my feet to kick her in her stomach, in her face, wherever my foot landed. It took 3 people, my homegirl Makita at the time, her daddy, and her stepmom, to pull me off that girl. It did. And it scared the living crap out of me, y'all. It scared me because that was the moment that I realized that I could either be dead or I could kill someone or I could go to jail if I kept going down that same road. And I witnessed what I would have been like at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And they don't even understand or understand or understand why she did that. She's remorseful. I am absolutely sure of it. Especially after she sees her face after the first day or two, after the bruising and the swelling. My brother and we were like headstrong, and he was, a boy. But I liken that to even having a fight with my sister. I couldn't even really fight my sister because I know she's not a fighter. So for me to come at her on a physical level would just be cruel, unfair, just evil. It really would have been. I don't even think me and my sister ever had like a really physical fight. We done passed some licks, but we ain't never had a physical fight. Me and my brother used to fight. But I grew up fighting boys. But on this journey, there are going to be times when you're not going to be able to step in because it's not your fight. And that's one of the things that I'm learning. That is the lesson in my confession. That sometimes you can't intervene. It's not your place. And I used to think that that was cruel and unusual not to help somebody in the time of need. But you don't know what people have done to land them in that circumstance or in that situation. And you intervening, you could be intervening in God's work. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you realize and recognize that I've said that a lot, that I recognize that I thought I knew better than God. Now, I cannot sit idly by and see somebody die and all that other stuff. Like, I don't know if I would have the nerve, or if I was in shock, because literally I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. And I'm like, I was stuck. I was like, But I've jumped in many a fights. Even as a kid, I've jumped in many a fights. Would I handle it differently if it happened again? I don't know. But this was a lesson for me to process what I was feeling, what was my emotions and what was their emotions, what was their energy and what was my energy, and using my own discernment from past previous situations and applying the lessons that I learned then. And this time, I really did feel, even though there was a little bit of guilt and it was like, okay, I should have done something. But I really do feel, really in my heart, that it was not my place. For one, they're not my family. And even if they were my family, I probably would let it ride because I intervened in them too. And sometimes things have to happen for other people to learn lessons. And everything is not my business. Let that be a lesson for you too, especially if you are an intervener like I am. And that can be not just intervening in physical altercations. Don't get me wrong. It's not limited to just that. That's just a example that I am using because it made me be more aware when I witnessed it yesterday. But you can intervene in a lot of different ways. If you're constantly enabling someone in whatever problems that they have, whether it's addictions, whether it's anything, if you are enabling them, if you are constantly giving someone money and they mishandle their money, if you intervene in always being someone's savior when they get into issues, tribulations, trials, problems, if you are always rescuing them. I was a rescuer. I remember I was talking to an ex-boyfriend of mine during this journey because I wanted to see someone else's perspective outside looking in on me and my family because everybody around me was trying to say that I didn't help them. But I knew I did, and I knew that there were people around me that witnessed it. So at this point in time, I had called my ex-boyfriend in front of the karmic undercover narcissist woman. And this was one of the first time I seen her roll her eyes at something he was saying about me, and it was like, now, like, why would you do that part? But he was saying, yeah, I remember, and he shed some light on a lot of things that I didn't even know or even remember or even witness. But there was one situation where he was like, I remember we was going out, we was going to the movies or something, and our thing was the movies. We like going to the movies every Friday. We was like, we like premieres and stuff like that, and we went out to eat a lot and stuff like that. And then because I was young, I was in my mid-20s, and he was like 40 something, maybe 30, yeah, 40 something. He lied about his age to me. He did. Not knowing I liked older men anyway, but I don't know if I would have dated him. I don't know. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But he was like, we were on our way somewhere, and your sister called and said she needed something, and you interrupted our date. That's what he said. He said, and we had to go over there and help her out. And he said, you was always going over there. And I remember that. And he was talking about when he used to always come to my mom's house, and I was helping them out. He was like, you was helping out your whole family. He said, sometimes I would look at you, and you would just look so sad, like you had the weight of the world, and you was so young and so vibrant. And I just didn't, and I never knew none of this. He never shared any of this stuff with me. And I was like shocked, but it did shed a lot of light. And so it was like, But on this journey, there are going to be times when God tells you to sit down. And that means sit down in all areas of your life, not just in your personal life, like with your person, with you as a person, but with the people in your life in your circle, especially if you've been the savior, especially if you've been the giver. It's going to be called for a time for you to put that energy back into yourself, especially if no one has been replenishing you, especially if no one has been pouring into you, especially if no one has been filling you up. Think about it. If you had a cup that you're constantly pouring out, that is information, that is knowledge, that is love, that is support, that is being there in times of glee and flee when you gotta run, whatever the case may be. That is pouring. It's not just money, it's your time. That's pouring. When you give your knowledge to someone else, you're essentially trying to help better their journey. That is currency, that is money. But if no one is doing that for you, if no one is giving that to you, if no one is replenishing you, if you're constantly pouring out but no one is saying, here, you thirsty, you want some water, eventually you're going to die. That's what's going to happen. You're going to die of thirst. You're constantly giving your energy out because you have an abundance of it. But there are those that take you for granted. And if they are not giving you their energy back, my love, you are being used for your energy. You are a battery pack. So take it from me and take it from this lesson in my confession that sometimes it is best for you to sit still. And I know it's going to tug at your heartstrings because you are a beautiful soul. You are a loving soul. You are a giving soul. And you just want everything to be so peachy keen. So you just want everything to be like, oh, but it's not always like that. And the moment you enter over and understand that, you allow things to fall as they may and mind your business sometimes. And when God tells you to step in, you'll know clear and concise that you are supposed to step in. But in other words, mind the business that pays you. Namaste, Ashe, Mazel Tov.